Welcome to what you should do and not do when you receive a tax collection notice from the IRS. Hi, my name's Dave D. And today my special guest is Carlos Samaniego from Tax Debt Consultants in Redlands, California. Now, Carlos is one of the country's leading experts on solving tax problems. And so, Carlos, welcome to the show. I'm very excited to listen to you because this is a major problem which is getting worse and worse by the day.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I'm so happy to be here. This is just a big problem in the U.S. that's happening right now, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
So obviously somebody who's watching this has received a letter or a phone call from the IRS about back taxes owed. So I think most people's immediate and natural reaction is, well, I'm just going to forget about it. I'm going to put it to the side and hope it goes away. Why is that like the absolute worst thing that someone can do?
I mean, it's just because there's so many different things that can happen to somebody when you ignore those notices. And I get those notices. I literally came in this morning, and these are all IRS notices. And the most important thing that you can do with this is basically open up the letter and read it. What is it? Heck, I just opened up a letter not too long ago. It actually says that the IRS made a miscalculation and they wanted to give me some money. So, and I'm surprised how many people just don't open up these letters. And there's so many bad things that can happen if you don't open up these letters. There can be a bank levy on your bank account. What's that? That means they just go in there, take all the money out of your bank account. You can get a wage garnishment at work. Talk about the embarrassment of that. You go to work and your employer calls you in. Hey, the IRS sent us a letter that they want us to hold 25-30% of your paycheck. Or they can put a levy on your house. Imagine trying to refinance your house, and you're trying to refinance and you find out, and you're with your spouse and find out that you can't do that because the IRS is trying to collect money. So those are like three things that can really happen if you don't open up these letters, and that's why it's so important to open up those letters.
Yeah, open up, and then we're going to talk about what you should do if it is a collection letter.
Mhm.
And we understand that when somebody gets this, it's very nerve-wracking, right? And our tendency is to try to ignore it. But as you just said, the worst thing that you can do is ignore it. So to avoid those three things, and there's other things that can happen, including, we even talk about the psychological things, Carlos, which is sleepless nights and everything like that. But in order to avoid not only the money that we're losing, but the sleepless nights and the embarrassment over this, what are the top three things that someone should do or not do? So I've received this letter. Now I don't know what to do. What should I do or not do?
Okay. Step one, we just talked about it. Honestly, it's just open up the letter. It could be good news, bad news. Step two is read the letter in detail. And if you don't understand what that letter is, reach out to a tax professional that does know what that letter says. Because one of the worst things you can do is contact the IRS and start giving them information that they might start asking. Especially if it's a collection letter. And I think I should just say that. If it's a collection letter, just be careful of what happens when you call the IRS, because the IRS are nice people. People sometimes think, and their job is to collect information from you, collect information, financial information especially. Dave, there's been so many times where I've had people say, "Oh, I've talked to the IRS. They were really nice. They just had a few questions." And they started kind of that's their job. Their job is to collect information from you to figure out what is the fastest way they can collect the money that they need from you.
So you're saying that if I receive a collection letter, the worst thing I can do is actually call the IRS because I could be giving them information that, quite frankly, they could use against me?
Absolutely. And they will use against you. I've had that so many times happen where somebody just starts giving up information and later to find out that information was used against them. So anytime, especially if you, again, if it's a collection letter or you didn't file a tax return in years, it's shocking how many calls I'm getting literally on a weekly basis where people haven't filed their tax returns 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And they contact them. And one of the big things that the IRS does, if you do contact them right away, they give you a time limit. Hey, we want this done in 30 days. Well, if they're giving you a time limit, you need to work fast. A lot of times when I have individuals in that type of a situation where I'm able to kind of connect with the IRS and not get that time limit imposed on me immediately. So it gives me some time to figure out what is the best solution for a client.
So the time limit is real.
Absolutely. If they say you got 30 days to do something, you got 30 days to do something. They say you got 14 days to get them something, it's 14 days. It's a real time limit.
Now, as I understand it, if someone contacts someone like you who is an expert in this area, right? And not everybody is, so not all accountants and not all CPAs are. Is it or is it not true that the IRS can no longer harass me personally?
That is correct. The minute the minute we get involved, we file what's called a power of attorney on your behalf for your tax situation. So once we submit that, we're basically giving notice to the IRS. You are no longer to contact our client, to call our client. They can still send you letters, but all conversation goes between the IRS and me. And when I got myself, and we were talking about my story earlier, and we can that when I got myself in tax problems, that's exactly what to me, that was the weight, the bricks coming off my shoulders when I spoke to that individual and he says, "You're not going to be talking to the IRS. I am. We're going to take care of that."
Yeah, I mean, just that alone is a reason to contact you. I mean, quite frankly, honestly, and then plus to make sure everything is done in the proper way.
Exactly.
So you just mentioned your story. So you are so passionate about this. When I heard about you and I said, "Hey, I want to interview you about this topic," because again, it's getting worse and worse. The government is adding thousands and thousands of IRS agents for this exact purpose.
Mhm.
And so more and more people are getting these letters and these phone calls and so on and so forth. And when I talked to you, I said, "I want to interview you. You're so passionate about this. Tell your story."
The reason I'm passionate, Dave, is because I know how the taxpayer feels. Well, taxpayers say, "Well, how do you know?" In my 20s, I went 8 years not filing my taxes. I was working as a EMT, rescuing people in a medical emergencies. And I ended up getting some quote unquote smart advice, I guess, or dumb advice from a paramedic that was 20 years old, giving me life decisions. Hey, you don't work so much overtime. Just claim more deductions on your paycheck. You can get a bigger paycheck. I did that. And you know what happens? Well, you end up owing taxes. You know who you are. You're out there giving 10 exemptions during that Christmas time to get that bigger paycheck. Well, I ended up doing that, but I ended up doing that not only 1 year. And then when I prepared my return, I had this big old tax balance I couldn't pay. So what did I do? It's what a lot of taxpayers do. Well, if I can't pay it, I'm not going to file my taxes. Worst possible thing you can do, not file the taxes. Well, that led into the second year. And now all of a sudden my lifestyle's changed. I remember buying a brand new 1987 Nissan hardbody truck. I got a bigger apartment, and 1 year turned into 2, turned into 8 years of not filing my taxes. And I became like a lot of your listeners here, is that I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to do nothing now. I'm afraid to do anything, but I don't want to wake up the sleeping giant. Well, guess what? The sleeping giant doesn't go away. The dragon is literally just sitting out there waiting to attack. And they did. The state of California came after me. The IRS came after me, and literally went 8 years. And now I owe tens of thousands of dollars of taxes. I didn't know what to do. And here's the thing. I try to ignore it as long as possible. And Dave, and I shared this with you, and I'm embarrassed by this story here, is that I actually got, in my late 30s, I ended up getting married to my spouse. And here I am at my wedding, and I'm cutting the cake. And instead of being in so joyful, the thing that was going through my head, what did I just do? I had never told my wife the challenges that I was going through with my taxes. And I just married her, and now I gave her those tax problems. And then literally weeks after we got married, I actually went through the process of searching for somebody. I'm like, I need to, you know what, if I'm going to tell my wife what I just did, I better have a solution for her. And I went looking at who can actually help me deal with my a tax problem expert. And I found my Ernie. I call him my Ernie because his name was Ernie. Ernie sat me down. He says, Carlos, you know what? You're a good person. You made a bad mistake. I'm going to take care of this. You're not going to deal with the IRS. I'm going to deal with the IRS. So, I talked to my wife and now told her what was going on. I told her we had a solution. And now here I am in my 50s. I'm passionate about this work. She actually works with me. She's right next door, in the chair right over there. And our passion is helping people with tax problems and solving those tax problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable story, and that's why you are so passionate about helping your clients. Because as you said, most of these folks, the vast majority, are good folks that just made some wrong decisions or got in over their head and
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. But what would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about when they get these letters, or when the IRS is coming after them?
The biggest misconception is that there's no solution. There's no help for them. That's the biggest. It was the misconception I had. It's just like, well, how am I going to deal with this? I can't afford to pay them tens of thousands of dollars. Am I going to go to jail? Everybody thinks that I'm going to go to jail. And here's the thing, Dave. The chances of going to jail are slim, but you can go to jail for not filing your tax returns. It's the reason Wesley Snipes went to jail, not because he owed millions of dollars in taxes, because he didn't file 3 years of taxes, 3 years of unfiled tax returns. That's why he went to jail. Now, the IRS can decide that they're going to make an example out of you. But the thing is that the best thing you can do is not wait. Is just to deal with it, because it's not going to go away, guys. And a lot of people, Dave, right now, especially right now, COVID just, we're dealing with COVID, and everybody's like, well, I haven't heard from the IRS in a couple of years. Yeah, they temporarily stopped sending letters. That's all they've done. Temporarily stop sending letters. They haven't forgot about you. You're going to get a letter. It's just a matter of time. And I actually call these things ticking time bombs. That's what these letters are. The IRS letters, that collection letters are going out, they're literally a ticking time bomb. The problem is we don't know when that clock's going to run out. I didn't know when the clock was going to run out on me, and it eventually went off years, literally over 10 years after I had went the first time not filing that tax returns. It doesn't go away. And the thing is that imagine that embarrassment and that fear people have. I've had multiple situations. People have called me from grocery stores where they went to go buy groceries and swipe that ATM card, and it didn't work, and they didn't understand why. And the government took the money right out of the bank account, and that's the fear you don't want to live in.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really no reason to live in the fear,
No.
Carlos, when they've got folks like you in their corner. And I know you've got two ways that people can get more information.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your book, which I believe you're offering to folks for free who are watching this.
Yeah. I wrote the book, How to Make the IRS an Offer They Can't Refuse. This book talks about my story and my trials and tribulations of dealing with the taxes, my tax problem, the fear, the anxiety, how I thought I was having health problems back in my 20s, thinking I had a heart problem, later to find out it was the stress of dealing with this tax situation. I talk about it in this book. And then I talk about the 3 simple steps that I actually do to solve anybody's tax problems. I don't care if you owe $20,000 or 20 million. There's 3 specific steps that I take, and I walk you through that. I coach you through that. And I do a lot of that work for you. But you can go buy this book on Amazon. I think it's $15 on Amazon. But for your listeners today, I'm offering the book for free. Just go to taxdebtbook.com, and you can get a free electronic copy of this book. And people love this book. And if you're local here in Southern California, if you come in and book an appointment, you can actually get an actual copy for free.
So let's talk about that for someone who is very, very serious about, okay, listen, I need to take care of this, and I want to investigate it further.
Yeah.
You also do something which is very unique, and the strategy, what you do doesn't sound unique, your strategy session, but it is because it is actually a strategy session,
Yes.
which you offer 100% for free.
Yes.
And Carlos, the reason I say it's unique is that most people think when I say strategy session or free consultation, they equate that with sales pitch, but that's not what you do at all. Talk about that.
No, I refuse to do that because I I've been through where you're at. You know, you call somebody, they say it's a free consultation, and then they're just trying to pitch you, hey, give me 1,000, give me 2,000, give me $10,000 today, and we can solve your problem. I will, my job is when you have that free consultation, I want to hear the challenges that you're going through, what's happening. And what I'm going to look at is that can we solve that problem right there? No cost. There's a good 20% of the calls where people call me thinking that they have a problem, and they really don't have a problem. They just need the direction of how to solve their problem. And I've done multiple times where, hey, you can solve this by yourself. Here's the phone number you can call. Here's a website you can go to, and it's solved. Your tax problems are done. Now, there's a portion of you that will call me and I'm listening to you. I'm like, okay, this is a lot more challenging and you're going to need professional help. And what all I'm going to do is tell you the 3 steps that I'm going to walk you through, the 3 steps I'm going to do to solve your problems. I'm going to share with you what we need to do to get started. And even if you wanted to give me your credit card on that phone to get started, I'm not going to take it because I don't want you to be pressured into anything. All I'm going to do is send you a link to our online portal where you can get started, and it's on your time frame. Well, I can 100% guarantee, Dave, I will never ask for a client for money on the phone. And if I can solve your problem on the phone, I can solve it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So again, there's no reason for you to live with this constant stress and the sleepless nights and the looking over your shoulder and being worried or wondering who is calling you on the phone. There's no reason for it. All it takes is one simple step, and that is to contact Carlos. How does somebody do that? How does somebody set up this absolutely 100% free strategy session with you?
It's real simple. I got 2 ways you can go. If you're still a little iffy, you know what? I don't know. Go to my website, taxdebtconsultant.com. Very simple, taxdebtconsultant.com. If you, after going through the website, there's an actual cartoon that was made about my story from a Hollywood animator. You can actually see the cartoon right there. On the top left corner, there's a book my appointment. Hey, you click that link, it will book my online calendar. It's updated literally by the minute, and you can book that appointment for that free consultation. Now, if you're listening to this and you're ready to get started, you know what, I've heard everything I need. You know what, I'm finally at my wit's end. I got to deal with my problem. Just go to calltaxea.com, calltaxea as in echo apple.com, and you're directly at that website to book your appointment.
Fantastic. So again, can you please give out the 2 websites one more time,
Yeah.
And explain the difference between the 2?
Yeah. Taxdebtconsultant.com is just my company website with some additional information about who I am, what I do. A lot of people like to do their online investigation even further. Please go there. You'll get links to Facebook pages, YouTube pages. I've done interviews, a variety of different things. And that gives you the opportunity to learn more about me. If you're just ready to get started, there's no further investigation. I want to talk to Carlos. I want to see if he can solve my problem on the phone. Go to calltaxea, calltaxea as in echo apple.com. And that's my online calendar to book an appointment.
Fantastic. Carlos, thank you so much. I know that you've given relief to people already, even if they haven't scheduled a strategy session with you, because I think that they now understand, hey, there is a way to get out of this situation. There is a way to get life to return back to normal. There is a way to make sure that they maintain their good name, and that is to take care of their tax problem. So make sure that you either get his book for free, right? Or get his book for free and then schedule a strategy session with him. It is the most important step that you can take right now. Carlos, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.